Welcome, brothers and sisters on the Draconic Path. My name is Fifth Plains, and I'm a Dragon Witch. And today's dragon knowledge is going to be on a very painful history that I graphically remember. This happened many lifetimes ago, shortly after the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis. And us dragons were still living amongst humans, and we were getting along fine until humans decided to take matters in their own hands. And I remember this. Started off with the religious groups, the Catholics back in the days, and the Jews back in the days. And if I remember correct, this was many lifetimes ago, what happened was the humans kept trying to take over and build cities in dragon territories, and the dragons were very patient with them at first and just moved to other areas because the earth was still pretty young after the fall of Lemuria. And what happened was, so the humans kept doing that over and over, and then Leviathan and the other dragons decided that they were not going to keep moving over and over every single time the humans wanted to build a new city. And so, even though back in the days this was a time when, like, this was after the fall of Lemuria, and so there was time, it was a time when cities were starting to really flourish and show up all over the globe. And so as the population grew, so did the cities grow. And I remember, like, the rulers of these cities kept trying to take more and more space that the dragons were living at, nests, I should say, that the dragons had to build their cities in. And all the destruction of the trees and the earth in order to make these huge cities. It was, the dragons weren't going to keep standing for it. So they stood up against the humans. They're like, no, we aren't going to move anymore. Y'all have taken enough space. And we want to stay where we're at. Even then, there was still humans that were loyal to the dragons, but the main populace was the rulers of these different cities, and they just weren't going to have it. They decided to make a game out of it, to slaughter dragons and keep their crowns, so to say, as trophies, because they just did not respect the dragons anymore. The huge populace didn't. And so during that time, if I'm remembering correctly, I was there too in my draconic form. I had to be kind of like the devil's advocate for both sides, if I remember correct. And I was like, I tried communicating with the humans. I even took the shape of a human to communicate with them. And I was like, dude, like, y'all have all this land. Why can't y'all just make the most of what y'all have and stop taking over these nests for these beautiful creatures? And the rulers were like, what's so beautiful about them? They're just, we're the dominant race. And I was like, I kept trying to explain to them that they just were being heartless, and they just was not listening in that life. And then they kept slaughtering our kind, if I remember correct. They even tried slaughtering me, but even with all their knowledge on how to slay us dragonkin, they weren't able to slaughter me at all. They couldn't even break through my armor. And a lot of times, every time they tried to shoot something at me, I stopped it in midair and launched it back at them, because I just was not going to have that. And so then the war broke out, and both sides were attacking ruthlessly, because at that point they kept slaughtering our kind. So the majority of us were enraged by that. I was enraged too, but I was the balance keeper. I had to try to see if I could make things live in harmony, but it just wasn't working out during that life. And so the war broke loose, and massive numbers were slaughtered on both sides. When the humans rose up and tried to destroy the dragons fought back with their powers, with their abilities and their knowledge and manipulation. They made earthquakes happen, floods happen, and so much other destruction, but because they were just wanting to defend their land, their territory, but the humans were not going to listen to reason, because I tried to reason with them and they just would not listen to me, even when I took the shape of a human form, just so that I would be able to communicate with them, but they just would not. They weren't having it. And so that's where this huge war broke out, and it was horrible. It still brings tears to my eyes remembering that, because I remember I had to help, along with Tiamat and Leviathan. We all worked together, and we had to escape, because otherwise they were just going to slaughter all of us. And so I tried to work with the dragons too, since they all knew me as one of the first dragons in existence at the time, because they all knew that I was a very ancient soul. So anyway, back to, I'm jumping topics. So me, Leviathan, Tiamat, and several of the other major dragon gods and goddesses, we helped with moving the whole dragon race to a different dimensional frequency, the dragon realm. And so we had to escape, because otherwise, because how huge the human population was populating, and all the knowledge of how to slay us dragons and kill us being shared with from one colony to another, or one city to another, it was horrible. So the only option that we had in the time was to actually escape in the dragon realms. And so that's where we opened up a void, and we went there, and we had to help create the dragon realms. So we made a space for all of us that we could live safely away from humans. And that's what we did. So from there, we moved from the physical realm, the earth, to the dragon realms. And if I remember correct, we all had to repopulate the dragon race as a collective. We had to add more dragons to the dragon population, because the humans slaughtered so many of us at the time. It was so horrible. So horrible. And so that's where I met my dragon mate, which is the first daughter of Fafnir. And me and her made quite a few offspring together. And then Tiamat took on several partners herself so that she could mates herself so that she can help with repopulation there. So we all had to bring our numbers back up. And me being a creator dragon soul, we all work together to create and expand the dragon realms and expand our numbers. And we didn't come back in contact with humans for a long time, many millenniums, until recently in this life is when we started showing back up, because we're at a time of transition and change for the ascension to a higher dimensional frequency. And so us dragons or souls are coming back to help reactivate and repair the ley lines that the humans have destroyed. We're back to heal nature itself, and we're back to help people accept us better and accept the new times, because we have tough times coming up with it being an ascension process, because we're at that time of the Earth's history where the Earth is in transition to a higher dimensional frequency. And so that's why we're back. We're back to help. At least I am. I know that's my personal mission, but there's others that have similar missions too. And I just want to share that with y'all. I don't remember every single detail, but I remember a good bit during the war between humans. Because of reincarnation, you forget stuff here and there once in a while. But, yeah. And I want to share that with you, because the more and more people accept dragons, the better off it's going to be. Because once the ascension happens, those that are against harmony will not ascend. They will be demolished. And those that are pro-harmony, who are trying to understand us dragons and who are wanting to work with us, and other starseeds and people that have grown over the years of reincarnation. Because once the ascension happens, the dragons are coming back, and the Earth will be a different dimensional frequency than it is currently right now. But until that happens, there's us dragon souls that are here in human form to help with the Earth and humanity's growth and acceptance. And just wanted to let that be known. Dragon blessings. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you want me to continue on sharing my content, and please leave comments on new content that you want me to cover, because I have quite a reservoir of dragon knowledge from being on the draconic path ever since I was 12. I'm 33 now. And it also helps me out in the algorithm out, and I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Dragon blessings.